So here we are sitting with Stewart Kirkpatrick, who's about to launch Scotland's first digital-based newspaper, and that might, for a lot of people, especially from outside Scotland, have seemed revolutionary in 2000. But in Scotland it's 2010 and there's still a lot of naysayers to this. I mean, Stuart, obviously your background is well known in digital from being the man who made Scotsman.com a success. So why go back to it now after having done digital to an extent in an era when so many are leaving papers?
I may have done digital, but I'm certainly not done with journalism. And I believe that digital offers a great future for journalism. We've always known that the internet is a tremendous resource for reaching readers, for finding stories, and for engaging in conversation with the people you're writing about. That hasn't changed. And the publication I'm creating is designed to survive in the new media landscape. And that's what's different. The old certainties are changing, and I think there's now room in certain parts of the market for a new publication, hence the apparent madness of launching a new online newspaper for Scotland.
I mean, surely if the big boys can't make this work, what hope is there for a little startup?
That's a very good question, but I'm not trying to do what the big boys are doing. I will not be on the newsstands day in, day out competing with your Scotsman, your Herald, your Record, your Daily Mail, nor will I be going after their classified advertising. There are gaps in the market online, specifically around depth reporting and informed analysis in specialist areas. So this publication is designed to capture the readership for these specialist areas and monetize them. And we'll be doing that through a variety of channels. We'll do it through the internet, we'll do it through print, we'll do it through mobile phone applications. But we are not trying to reinvent the wheel. This is a publication that's profoundly different from what's out there already because it's designed to survive and to thrive in the new media marketplace.
If it's designed to survive, that surely that must have had an impact on your startup costs. It sounds if you're doing it as virtual as possible. I take it then there's no office, no regional offices, not many of the things people associate with newspapers.
You're absolutely right. This paper is as different as possible from what exists out there already. We don't have big offices, we don't have printing presses, we don't have tiers of support staff. What we have is a website that's built by my agency because that's what we do, and we have a staff of very, very talented freelancers who were not available on the market 18 months ago, but they are available now, and we are making full use of them.
I mean, is there a worry here that it could just collapse, fail miserably, and a lot of people will say, we told you so, and this digital stuff's a load of nonsense?
Yes, there is. I didn't always have grey hair, but this is designed to survive. Its costs are light, and the amount of money we need to raise from our revenue streams is relatively modest compared to what you'd expect from a standard newspaper. So I'm confident of our ability to thrive in the market, and I would not have set this up if I didn't think that was the case.
You mentioned income there and revenue. I mean, what are you looking at being your revenue generators?
Well, obviously there's a standard revenue of online advertising, but we know that brings in modest returns. There's sponsorship as well, but we're also looking at a print model. Again, it won't be competing on the newsstands day in, day out with the other papers, but we'll be looking at an innovative print product that fully maximizes that medium's capacity to explain complex information. As well as print, we'll also have, further down the line, mobile phone applications for the iPhone and the Android.
I mean, are we basically looking at a Scottish version of the Huffington Post here?
We're looking at something that might resemble the Huffington Post, but there's a few key differences. One, there's the absence of the vast amount of venture capital funding with its attendant...
Would it be welcome?
Do you know what? We don't need a lot of funding. I mean, that's the whole point. This is, like I said, designed to thrive in the new media marketplace, which means that we don't need a vast amount of startup funding. We're trying to be a provider of specialist news services and specialist depth reporting in about 9 or 10 areas of Scottish life where we believe there's a gap and where there's a market. We aren't going to cover every blade of grass. If there's a major court story that we think has been done very well by the Scotsman or the Herald, then we're quite happy to point our readers' attention to them.
So will this in essence be a mix then of original content and links to elsewhere?
It will mostly be original content, but there will also be links to elsewhere.
So, obviously, I mean, you yourself know Scotland has quite a rich diversity of journalists on the market at the moment because of the great culls. I mean, are you able to name any names that have signed up for the project?
Not quite yet, but very shortly.
Are you able to say what the name of the project would be?
Well, you work in online PR and you know the importance of a big bang. So we will be announcing the name of the publication on the day we launch the website. Because what we want to do is go, here, it's called the and at that point we will want people to visit it.
And is there a launch date in the book, or is it a moving sort of target?
Launch date's 25th of January, which, as you know, burns now. You know.
Any symbolism there, or?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a Scottish publication. It's for Scots who are in Scotland and who are in the UK, Europe and abroad. So absolutely. I mean, we're Scottish. Scottish with a capital S and a kilt hung on it. But we're also modern and we're also outward thinking. So yes, absolutely. We're laying claim to Scotland's great journalistic heritage, but we're also looking forward. Playing
devil's advocate, why is it that you're offering this and not the Scotsman, the Herald, the Press and Journal, the Record, the Scottish Sun, or the Guardian, or so on?
I think the main reason is I don't have the headache of trying to run a newspaper company set up in the ways that they do. If I did, my hair would be even greyer and I would face an even more of an uphill struggle. I am not trying to do what they do. I'm trying to set up a newspaper that reflects the reality of where we are now in terms of how people consume news. I am not saddled with the legacy costs of those organisations.
Fair enough. You mentioned earlier on that the key aim here at the moment is survival. I mean, what defines survival for the publication?
Survival means making a decent profit, but not an obscene profit, and it means giving a return to all those who are involved in the project.
For those who do get involved, are they being paid in a traditional format? Are they being paid by hits, by popularity, or is it individual per contributor?
I'm not going to go too deeply into that, but I can tell you there's no kind of league table of you got so and so such and such an amount of traffic, therefore you get such and such amount of money. Aside from that, I'll draw a discreet veil over that question.
What areas then, if this isn't going to be all things competing with the larger papers, what is it going to cover? What topics can people expect?
Among the topics we'll cover are politics for very obvious reasons. We're about to enter an incredible period in Scottish life. We've got the UK general election, prospect of a change of government, how does that relate to Holyrood, and then we've got the Holyrood election. So we're in as Scots, we tend not to get excited about a country, but some very exciting things are going to be happening here, and we're going to be right on top of that. We'll also be covering health, we'll be covering heritage because we want to reach the American market. There'll be light-hearted elements as well. These will include entertainment, although a very intelligent assessment of the entertainment market, and strange news written by a strange man in LA.
That's fair enough. Obviously, lots of journalists, and I know you've been out of the Scotsman for a while, and you've carried on your digital teaching, training and expertise, taking it to other markets. I mean, obviously, but a lot of journalists go out there with a redundancy check and think they're going to set the world on fire, whether it be PR or digital. Is this just a site set up and being run by a bunch of journalists, or is there some commercial savvy to it as well?
There's very definitely commercial savvy. Like you say, I left journalism more than 2 years ago. My vision for this is to make money. It's not to burn my funds, my savings, other people's redundo. It's to make money. That's what we're in the business to do. We have a strong understanding of where that money is. We also understand that the problem that a lot of online publications have is to do with their costs, not their income. So we know there's a lot of money to be made, and as long as your costs are kept in perspective, you can turn a healthy profit.
Scotland, in my opinion, has been quite reticent, especially when it comes to journalism online. I mean, there's a lot of Scottish companies out there that still don't see the value of a website, never mind anything else.
Yes.
Is this the right country for this venture to be launching it?
Absolutely. There's a huge community of people who are interested in discussing Scotland online. We want to serve that community. The other thing about Scots is there's tens of millions of us around the world. Okay, we might not live in Scotland, but we might think that our granny was Scottish or whatever. There are Scottish communities throughout the world, and again, this publication is outward looking, and we're going to try and connect with those communities. We are a Scottish publication, but we're a Scottish publication that understands not all Scots or people who identify themselves as Scots are in Scotland.
Perhaps to save your inbox groaning, we'll wrap this up with the last question that some people will think relevant, some will shake their heads at. Should PRs be getting in touch with you to say, we've got this idea, we've got that idea, we've got X, Y, Z? Or is it very much a case of, don't call us, you'll just annoy us, if we need you, we'll contact you?
We're interested in receiving stories from anybody. Don't promise to run them. Please, under no circumstances, ever phone up and ask if we got the press release. But we're interested in hearing about stories from anybody because we're interested in telling stories.
Fair enough. Thank you.